观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看今天的观点聚焦节目。美国经济在近期走势是越来越扑朔迷离，很多经济数据报出来都是好坏参半，而美国楼市是一直处于一个比较疲弱的状态，消费板块和制造业板块同样也出现了增长放缓。最让人担心的就是美国的就业市场，目前美国的高失业率一直是保持在一个战后最高的水平，是居高不下。而美国联邦储备局在金融危机爆发之后呢，就开始了一系列的量性宽松的货币政策，企图刺激美国经济，增加美国的就业。但是快2年的时间过去了，现在看起来呢，仍然是收效甚微。那么今天我们也就采访了纽约大学的金融教授李玉女士，让她给我们解读一下联储局的政策是否合适，而美国经济又会何去何从。对于美国经济的颓势，美联储也做出了一系列的回应。美联储主席伯南克日前在对国会做出的政策报告时，也信誓旦旦地表明，美联储将会用尽一切努力防止经济滑入通货紧缩的窘境。但是自从金融危机以来，美联储早已将基准利率调低至接近0的位置，也买入了大量受困的债券，向经济体已经注入了数以千亿计的流动性。可以说，美联储已经用尽了所有传统的货币政策工具。而现在，越来越多的市场参与者也担心，美联储已经是黔驴技穷，而伯南克开出的很可能也就是空头支票而已。就美联储当今的货币政策问题，我们请来了纽约大学的金融学教授李玉女士，为我们带来她的专业看法。
李玉女士，纽约大学金融学教授，哈佛大学工商管理硕士，曾任北京大学中国经济研究中心客座教授，曾任美国佩斯大学金融学教授，曾任投资银行家、对冲基金合伙人、信贷金融衍生品交易员。
As we all know, on August the 10th, the Federal Reserve Board of Governors decided to roll the principal and interest of all the proceeds of agency debts and mortgage-related securities into Treasury debts. What exactly is the Fed trying to do with this policy, and have they achieved this goal?
I believe that the Fed is probably getting ready to buy Treasury bonds in the event that there will be major selling pressure on them. That has been speculated for some time now amongst many market watchers, where they understand that a lot of the big market players have been borrowing cheap money at zero rates and then buying the long end of the Treasury. Now, as these spreads get tighter and tighter, it becomes less profitable for them. And at some point, if that spread can't cover their profits, their costs, then they're going to want to sell these bonds. And that can get more selling, and it could become a panic situation. And so the Fed would need to be sort of the buyer of Treasury bonds at the last resort. So I think that this announcement sort of prepares people to understand that they're going to be there in case a trigger of that sort happens. And so even though the purchases thus far are small, I think it's more of a signaling to the market.
Well, Mr. Honig has been advocating to start raising the rates since like a couple of meetings ago. Do you think his point is valid? Isn't it a little too dangerous to start raising rates at this point, though?
I don't know if there's any good point to raise the rates at this point. Right now, we've got a huge structural problem where the financial institutions essentially are too weak to really function, and so they need to have this very accommodative policy to build their balance sheets by arbitraging the different rates and then making easy profits to rebuild all the losses that they've already suffered. But this, as I had mentioned earlier to you, that this creates a lot of speculation and thus bubbles around the world. It does not create any job creation.
No.
And a lot of people are wondering if this is an appropriate strategy. I personally do not think that this is going to fix any of our long-term problems. Personally, I believe that the real crux of the issue in the U.S. economy is that labor wage rates are just not competitive to the world. We've got over 2 billion people entering the job market,
Right.
and suddenly Americans are out of work because there's no way for them to compete in this environment, because all the corporations have decided to outsource all the jobs. Now, in order for the labor to be absorbed, they would certainly have to take wage cuts. But labor does not want to take wage cuts
Exactly.
when you have asset inflation going on. Because why should anyone be motivated to take a job at McDonald's if they can't afford to buy their own lunch, afford to live in an apartment, afford to do anything if there is inflation? You absolutely have to have asset deflation in order for this structural problem to correct itself.
Okay.
But the Federal Reserve has no intention of having deflation happen in this system, because if you have deflation, that would mean that the store of wealth for the wealthiest Americans and the banks would be in trouble, and that they would suffer huge losses.
So you're suggesting that the Federal Reserve's policy is pointing towards helping the richest Americans and corporations instead, at the cost of American employees, or the structural change that's necessary?
No, I'm advocating that the Federal Reserve stop propping up asset prices, because the assets need to deflate in order for the whole system to work again.
So you don't actually agree with Chairman Bernanke's point of avoiding deflation. You think the deflation is actually necessary.
Yes.
But that's going to cause a lot of problems in the short run, isn't it?
It will cause problems in the short run, but we've had problems in the short run for decades, and the Federal Reserve and politicians here refuse to deal with these problems, and they've just been accumulating until you've got a problem right now where there are no easy solutions.
Okay, all right, so let's just pull back. Let's say, say if the Federal Reserve were to keep the economy going so that everyone can keep on living their happy life at this point, is there any policy that they can still use? Because they have already lowered interest rate to so low, there's no way they can, per se, stimulate the economy anymore. Is there anything else in mind?
No, I already told you, you can't
Right.
stimulate this economy on its own and keep it sustainable when it's already reached its limits.
So you're saying the economy has already reached its limit?
It has. Most of the Americans, as you know, are in their eyeballs up with debt. They can't get a job. How are they going to take on more debt? How are they going to keep consuming when there's no income? There is a serious problem where you've reached its limit. Unless the government's just going to be a completely communist country and just offer everything for free, what are you going to do? So I don't think they have any more arrows. It's going to get to a point where the stagnation will go on too long, and the American public is going to be extremely frustrated and will demand some serious changes. But this could obviously cause major tensions where, U.S. politicians are not going to want to take the blame for it, so they'll point at China or others as a scapegoat for the problems that they failed to deal with.
李玉女士认为，之前美国联邦储备局的货币政策可以说导致了很多美国经济中的不平衡性，包括资产泡沫的普遍存在，以及美国劳工价格的过高，这都让美国经济陷入了当前这种疲软无力的状态。那么，她认为治顽疾应该用重点，美国联邦储备局现在应该让经济整体下滑到一个通货紧缩的状态，这样才能达到一个整合产业的目的。那么同时，他也不认为美国联邦储备局现在还有更多的货币政策手段来刺激经济，而政府的财政刺激计划也许会起到一定的效果。那么美国经济到底会何去何从，我们也是拭目以待。好的，感谢您收看这期的观点聚焦节目，我们下期再见。